You want to know why gossipers target you? Because someone saw a weakness you didn't even know you were showing, and they decided to test how far they could push it. Gossip doesn't start with a rumor. It starts with someone quietly scanning the room, choosing the one person who looks too polite to fight back, the one whose silence looks like softness, the one whose kindness looks like an open door. And the moment they sense that you won't retaliate, they strike. That's how gossip begins, not by accident, by selection. People think gossip is random. It's not. It's a psychological strategy. A subtle attack on your reputation from someone who doesn't have the courage to confront you directly. They won't fight you face to face, so they fight you where you can't defend yourself, behind your back. The goal is simple: control the narrative before you even know there is one. If this feels uncomfortably true, it's because someone has done this to you before, and no one ever explained what was really happening. Gossipers work like predators in a social hierarchy. They watch who speaks less, who avoids conflict, who is liked but quiet. Quiet people are their favorite targets because the mind of a gossiper interprets silence as space to attack. They assume you won't challenge them. They assume you'll freeze instead of respond. They assume your reputation can be bent because you won't defend it. These assumptions are wrong, but they only know that once you learn how to turn silence into power. You might think you were targeted because you were weak, but psychologically, you were targeted because you were safe. Safe to attack, safe to misrepresent, safe to use as social leverage. Gossipers choose people who won't explode, who won't expose, who won't escalate. You weren't chosen because you deserved it. You were chosen because they thought you wouldn't fight back. Understand that, and everything else makes sense. Most people don't realize this, but gossipers follow a pattern. They test your boundaries with small comments first. A subtle joke about you when you're not around. A casual remark disguised as concern. A question someone repeats twice, even though they already know the answer. They study how your name moves in a room. If no one defends you immediately, the gossiper feels safe to push further. Their goal isn't just to talk about you. It's to measure your reaction without you even being there. What they're really checking is, does this person have social protection, or are they standing alone? If you've ever felt confused, humiliated, or angry because you didn't understand why someone targeted you, you're not alone. It's psychologically destabilizing to be misrepresented. It makes you question your worth. It makes you replay conversations over and over. It makes you wonder, why me? What did I do? How long were they thinking this? Those feelings are normal, but they are exactly the emotions. Gossipers rely on your confusion is their camouflage. They know most people freeze when confronted with sudden social tension. They expect you to overthink instead of act. That's why their strategy becomes predictable once you know how to read it. Let's expose their mindset clearly. Gossipers target people they envy but cannot confront, people they admire but feel threatened by, people they want to remove from the social hierarchy without getting their own hands dirty. They use gossip as a shortcut to power. It allows them to damage you without facing you. In their mind, gossip is a controlled, low-risk weapon. If the rumor spreads, they gain influence. If it backfires, they simply deny involvement. This is why gossip is not just immature behavior. It's strategic behavior. Cowardly, but strategic. There's another layer most people never notice. Gossipers study your emotional reactions. If they see you become withdrawn, uncertain, or defensive, it tells them their strategy is working. If you confront them aggressively, they flip the narrative and play the victim. If you defend yourself too much, they accuse you of being sensitive. Their entire tactic depends on one thing: your predictability. When they know how you'll react, they know how to manipulate you. So the key to becoming untargetable is simple. You must become unreadable. This is where the psychology changes. The moment you shift from reacting emotionally to responding strategically, the gossip cycle collapses. Gossipers cannot operate when their target becomes a psychological threat. Not loud, not aggressive, just controlled. Gossip thrives on emotional chaos. When you refuse to give that, they lose leverage. Here is how you protect yourself on a psychological level. Detach emotionally from the attack. Your reputation is not a debate. It does not need defending in every room. When someone spreads gossip, they are looking for your emotional fuel to keep the fire burning. Starve them. A calm, non-reactive person cannot be manipulated. Next, shift your body language. Stand straighter, speak slower, hold eye contact a second longer than usual. These small signals communicate psychological stability. Gossipers avoid people who look grounded. They only attack those who look unsure. Be direct when necessary, not emotional, not defensive, just calm and precise. A single line like, "I heard there's been confusion about something. If you have questions, come to me directly," destroys their entire strategy. It signals that you are aware, confident, and difficult to play with. Then strengthen your social boundaries. Don't overshare. Don't explain your life to people who haven't earned trust. Gossipers gather personal details like ammunition. The less you give, the less they can weaponize. And finally, adopt non-reactive dominance. This is the psychological position where your presence communicates. I am aware of what you're doing, and I'm not affected. It's quiet, it's controlled, it's powerful. Gossipers don't know how to fight someone who doesn't flinch. When you master these tools, something interesting happens. Gossip doesn't stop existing. It stops choosing you. Gossipers move on to someone else. Someone who hasn't learned what you now know. Someone who still reacts emotionally, explains too much, trusts too quickly, or tries to correct every rumor. That person becomes their new target, not you. Because at this level, you're not just protecting your reputation, you're controlling how others perceive your value. You're setting the tone of your presence. You're teaching people without ever raising your voice that you are not someone to play with. Here is the psychological truth to end on. You cannot stop people from gossiping, but you can stop them from choosing you. Not by being louder, not by defending yourself endlessly, but by becoming the one thing every gossiper avoids. A calm mind with unshakable control. That is how you make yourself untargetable.